With Chris Terry and Tim Saunders, it's Skate Zone in Voorhees. This week we've looked at a lot of the changes that the Flyers have made this offseason. It's going to make for a pretty interesting training camp coming up in a few weeks. The biggest move undoubtedly was the acquisition of goaltender Ilya Bryzgalov. Bundy, they wanted to address that position before everything else, and they did it in a big way.
Yeah, they had to really go around the league and look at what was available via trade, free agency, what was available at the end of the year. And Bryzgalov's name came back many times. I know there was Evgeny Nabokov was another guy that they probably had looked at. He had some situation with the Islanders, though. Doesn't really matter. They went after the prized possession, really, of what would have been free agency. He never made it till the day of free agency because the Flyers signed him. They ended up sending over, I think, a draft pick for Bryzgalov's rights and spent the next 2 or 3 weeks negotiating. But this was really a leadoff getting him in terms of probably what went on with a lot of the other deals. He is a really, really good goaltender. I've talked to players that have played with him. He's a guy that likes the pressure. He's been in some really big spots in the past. He's won a Stanley Cup with Chris Pronger as a backup to J.S. Giguère in Anaheim at the time. But he's a guy that the Flyers fans are going to really, really be excited to have, and something the Flyers, I think, themselves lacked during the playoffs last season.
Well, there's no question. This is a top 10 goaltender in the National Hockey League. He's won a lot of games in the last few years in Phoenix, and a team that maybe didn't have the depth that this Flyers club will. He's a big guy, and you're going to see him play pretty deep in his net, taking advantage of that size.
Yeah, he's a little bit like Henrik Lundqvist in a lot of ways, the way he plays deep in the net. He's done a real good job in shootouts, too. I don't know much. Some GMs now you hear that they put a little bit into those shootouts. He's a guy that's done all right in those in the past, but yeah, he's a real big body. The only thing that's different here where he'll come in immediately is it's a completely different atmosphere and environment from where he was in Phoenix. This is Philadelphia. There's been a 25-year discussion amongst the fans, management, you name it, about the goaltender. Can the goalies in Philadelphia get it done for the teams that they've had over the course of the last several years? There's going to be pressure on him early, and I think that he's got a long contract here. I think he needs to come in and be himself, be the goalie he's been in the past, and he'll be fine. What you want is everybody on your side in this town.
He's an intelligent goaltender,
Yes.
but he's also got a little personality. He's a little off the wall in some regards. Does that help him deal with the pressure that'll be here in Philly?
Perfect. As long as you can be yourself in this city, you're going to be all right, no matter what. That's it. I always think the crazier goalie, sometimes the more quirky a goalie can be, the better it is. I loved it when I had a guy in the room that was kind of kept things light and knew what his job was going to be. And I think that just talking to people, I haven't met him. I don't know what he does in the games. We'll find out soon. I think it's going to be certainly a huge upgrade puck stopping wise. I just think that he's going to have to really just understand that this is a different community than the one he was in Phoenix.
Well, times are a-changin'. Did you ever think that you'd see a goaltending duo in Philadelphia of two Russians? And with Sergei Bobrovsky the likely backup, that's what you're going to have. They're still convinced that Sergei Bobrovsky is going to be a star in this league.
Sure.
The challenge is going to be keeping him in the right place in his own mind.
Yeah, I know you had a discussion with Jeff Reese, and he filled you in a little bit. This is a guy, Bryzgalov, that's played somewhere around 70 games a year. He's like Marty Brodeur. He doesn't like many games off. He wants to continue playing. And I think when you talk about the goaltending that went on last year, I don't think Bobrovsky falls into any of the categories of the fumbling goaltending here in Philadelphia. The goaltending wasn't horrific. It just wasn't up to the par they needed to get at that particular time. I think Bob had a great rookie year, an outstanding rookie year. He's got to continue to develop. But the question is how do they get him to develop more when you got a guy that may play 70 games a year?
Well, he's an asset, and if he continues with the right attitude to develop as a goaltender, I think he will be a star. Whether it's here in Philadelphia or elsewhere, they still believe he's a pretty good goaltender.
Good point, Timmy, by you, and there's no question about that. He will get better and better as he gets older. He's going to have to be patient early. We don't know obviously we saw that anything can happen at any time here in Philadelphia in the offseason. So and I think that Paul Holmgren and Peter Luukko and Ed Snyder at the same time are very, very fair to their players. If they feel that Bob is going to have a chance to excel somewhere else and they're still extremely happy with Bryzgalov, which we expect him to be, they won't hesitate to move Bobrovsky to give him that chance that he so rightly deserves to play in this league.
Well, whether that happens or not, you go into a season with two pretty good goaltenders, both proven and both certainly capable of taking a team on a Stanley Cup run. At Skate Zone in Voorhees with Chris Terrian, I'm Tim Saunders.